Now you can hear me. Sorry about that. Noob mistake. Welcome everybody. I'm streaming over on YouTube. I want to make sure that everything was working properly. Looks like everything's going okay. Yeah. So howdy. Good to be back on YouTube. It's been almost 2 years since I've been on YouTube, and thought I would try that out again. For those that don't know me, I'm Ian Douglas. I work on a website called techinterview.guide. There's tons of free career advice, interview preparation stuff. There's a bunch of free newsletters. Even if you're not in the tech industry, there are a number of newsletters that are useful no matter what kind of industry you're in. So there's a general prep, which goes into like company research and how to apply and things like that. There's a whole newsletter just on building a resume. And that one, again, will work for tech and non-tech careers. And then there's a behavioral questions newsletter, which will go through like, why we ask the dumb questions like, tell me your greatest weakness, which everybody hates. But also like the way that I wrote that one, for the behavioral one specifically, I teach you, here's why we ask you the questions so that you can come up with your own perfect answer. I don't teach you, here's the perfect thing to say and you'll guarantee to crush the interview. That's not what I do in the behavioral interview newsletter. That one is basically just to tell you, here's why we asked the question. And if you understand our motivation for asking the question, you can come up with the perfect answer that makes us more interested in you as a candidate. So that's what that one's about. And then I've got two more that are specific to the tech industry. One is data structures and algorithms and system design. And the other one is just general technical prep. Talk about programming languages and frameworks and architecture and things like that that aren't really specific to system design, but just the kinds of questions that you might get asked. And that one I do kind of go down the rabbit hole. That one in the data structures and algorithms and system design, I do go into patterns and I show things like pseudocode and things like that for how to basically study those kinds of things. I've also got a number of resources available on techinterview.guide as well as just through the newsletters for like mock interviews and things like that as well. But one of the things that I do primarily on Sundays is I do resume reviews for people. And so if anybody out there wants to get a free resume review, then you can check out this link. Grab YI resume review. So this is the link that you'll want to send that to. If you have a resume that you'd like reviewed, I will do it for free on the stream. And then, we can definitely chat about strategies to make your resume better. I'm not the typical like resume review person who's going to totally bash and tell you your resume is garbage, but I will tell you things that you could potentially improve. I've been a hiring manager. I've been in the tech industry for a long, long time, and I'm just here to help people out. So if I can help improve something in some way, I'm happy to do so. I've got about 2 hours to stream tonight, and then I have to do 2 mock interviews actually before bed. So, hey Tyler, good to see you over on YouTube. Welcome in. Awesome. So if you have a resume that you'd like reviewed, go ahead and submit it there. It will send me an email, and then I'll pull up my email here and just periodically watch for incoming resumes in case there are any. And then we will go from there. So let me get through a billion different Chrome browsers and tabs and whatever to find my email. There's my email. There we go. All right, good deal. Cool. So no resumes going in yet. But if anybody happens to have a resume that you'd like reviewed, by all means, send that in, and happy to take a look at that for folks. Like I said, I've got about 2 hours that I can spend tonight and go through some of that for all of you. And if there's anything I can do to help you out, I'm more than happy to do that. Good deal. So I've managed to get OBS set up again to stream on YouTube as well. So we're over on YouTube. If you're hanging out on YouTube, I can't really entice you over to Twitch, but I've got like a bunch of interactive kind of things that I've been building using a platform called Streamer.bot. It's basically an application you run on your Windows machine, and you can do all kinds of interesting interactive kinds of like chat responses and so on. I do have to get some of them working over on YouTube as well, because I'm pretty sure if I do resume review over here, it's not going to do anything at all. Yeah, it's not going to do anything on YouTube. So I need to get those channel things set up over on YouTube as well. And the pest wants to come say hello. Come say hello to everybody. This is Riker. He's my puppy. Hello. Hello. I don't know if people on the vertical, yeah, people on vertical can kind of see you. But yeah, that's my dog. He loves being part of every stream. Anyway, but yeah, Sunday is typically going to be my career development day, and then Thursday tends to be my live coding. But depending on how things go tonight, if we don't have a ton of career stuff to go through with folks, so I've been streaming again. This is my 9th stream in 2026. I just got back into it in June and having a blast with it. I'm doing twice a week, and we've been covering a lot of career topics, specifically around like AI tooling and what's going on in the AI space and how that's impacting the tech industry and just other industries at large, and how to think about using AI to be more productive at what we do, in the sense of like using it responsibly and not just using it for, you know, the kind of the garbage generated kind of stuff. That said, I am a big fan of vibe coding and using AI for a lot of ideation, really, like coming up with ideas. So I'll have things like scan through, you know, other blog posts and other, you know, controls that people are building on Streamer.bot and say like, hey, you know, I want to build something kind of like this, but I want it to be unique. What can I build? And have it go through and scrape through a bunch of things and then give me ideas on things I can go build. And then I go build those on Thursdays. So last Thursday, we built a new game called Higher Lower, where basically everybody in chat types a number, and then the game basically picks a random number from 1 to 100, and then it averages out all of chat's numbers and then tells chat, hey, you all need to find something higher or something lower, and you have to kind of hone in on what the number is. Anyway, fun, silly stuff like that. Lightling, good to see you over on Twitch. Welcome in. So yeah, so I'm streaming. I got streaming working on YouTube as well, but I will have to get some of the chat responses and so on working over on YouTube too. And so we will work on that. I think that'll probably be something that I work on tonight in between interview prep questions and career questions that we have come in. So I'm watching both YouTube and Twitch chat. So if you see me kind of bouncing my head back and forth, it's because I'm going back and forth between a couple of different chat windows. But I will try to pay attention to everything as best I can. Lightning says, that's how it started with my HTML game. It works a little bit on my own. Oh, then work a little bit on my own until I need to know how to connect to Twitch. Yeah. So Twitch has like some WebSocket stuff that you can do, but Streamer.bot actually makes that fairly easy, where Streamer.bot basically will build a WebSocket connection that your HTML page can connect to, and then Streamer.bot will take care of, you know, are you on Twitch or are you on YouTube or Kick or Trovo, like all the different platforms and all the other integrations that it can do. And so if you can just do the WebSocket over to Streamer.bot, then Streamer.bot will take care of everything else. So if you're building like a chat style game, then it can basically look at the incoming chat, do whatever processing it needs, and then handle that accordingly. So cool. So I think the first thing I'm going to do while we wait for any career questions coming in, by all means, ask questions. I think I'm going to try to get some of my static responses working over on YouTube as well. So hopefully G-Bands and Tyler Barrett over on YouTube are patient enough to have me work through a few chat commands and see if we can get this thing working. Just looking at Lightling over on Twitch. Authentication, so you could type your name and then connect. Oh, I see. Cool. All right, well, let's dive in here and let's see if I can get these static chat responses going. So right now I've got it sending over to Twitch, but I also need to add a command to send it over to YouTube as well. So I'm just going to add that in real quick. Let's see, YouTube. Is there a YouTube send message? Send YouTube message to latest something. To latest monitored. Not sure what that is. Let's try YouTube message. Oh yeah, send YouTube message. Here we go. All right, let's see if we can get this working over on YouTube as well. Is that going to compile okay? Nope. It does not like... Oh, I've got too many parentheses on here. Cool, let's try this. So over here on Twitch now, if I do... Or sorry, on YouTube, if I do LinkedIn, it does not see that chat come in. Oh, I need to add that as a trigger on Streamer.bot. All right, let me add YouTube chat message. Oh no, that's going to be static chat response. Let me switch over to my coding screen here for everybody else. I know it may be a little hard to read this on mobile, but we have a static chat response here, and this should work for all platforms. For whatever reason, it's not seeing the chat message coming in on YouTube. It definitely sees the one on Twitch. Hey, Darth Gollum, good to see you. So Darth Gollum, I've got an automatic shoutout thing queued up for people that I know are streamers. So it should do a shout out for you at some point. It should have happened right away. So we'll take a look at that next. I will double check if you are even in the list. You are not in the queue. Why didn't it do a shout out for Darth Gollum? I will do it manually. I'm trying to set up a thing where if a streamer comes in and says hi, that I know you're a streamer, that it'll automatically queue up a shout out for you. All right, so that's queued up. That should go out hopefully soon. Let's see what the timer is on that. Services, timers. No, it's set a little high. So let's shrink this down here. We'll do like 10 seconds. It should correct itself and then shut itself back off. No, it's not because it's been a while since you've streamed it. It doesn't look at any of those kinds of stats, but it should do a shout out here any moment. There's a shout out. And then, it shut itself off over here. I have a feeling that the automated system that the bot is sending the chat message, it's not recognizing that chat message as something to go process. So I'll take a look at that in a little bit. But I want to try and get some of my static responses, like when we type LinkedIn over here on Twitch, we get the static response. Wait, that didn't come up either. Oh, I think I know what's going on. All right, let me go reload all of these. So the problem is I went live on OBS before I loaded Streamer.bot. And these things trigger on Streamer.bot when Streamer.bot sees that you go live, then it loads all this stuff into memory. So I think that's why this stuff isn't working over on YouTube. Let's see. So if we do like Discord, no, we still don't get the response over on YouTube. It loaded everything. But if I do exclamation point resume over here, nothing happens. Hey, Reprinted, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome in. So Reprinted, turns out I'm definitely not going to be going to your area in November. I was really hoping it's like a several day conference, but I had other plans already made on November 11th, and I'd have to be there on the 10th. And I can't fly back here on the 11th and fly back out there the morning of the 12th. It's just not feasible. So unfortunately, I'm not going to make it out to your area. All right, so let's see what's going on. You don't wish this place on anyone? All right, fair. I mean, it'd be nice to go hang out. I've driven through there. I've driven through the city, but I haven't actually like stayed and done anything. So I need to figure out some way of actually like coming to visit and like hang out for a couple of days and explore a little bit. So not missing much. I mean, I just like exploring cities and seeing what's out there and so on. Cool. So if anybody has career questions, interview questions, resumes that you want reviewed, go ahead and send those in. Meanwhile, I'm streaming on YouTube as well. So anybody on Twitch, if you could help me out and just load that up in YouTube as well, in a separate browser, just mute it so you don't hear me twice. Nobody needs to hear me twice at the same time. But if you could help me out and go help my viewership over on YouTube, that'd be great. I'm trying to get the static responses to work over on YouTube chat as well. So, and if you are watching on YouTube, I do see folks over on YouTube. If you have career questions, interview questions, any kind of career prep, if you have a resume that you want to send in, by all means, go ahead and send that in. I'll just paste the URL for now. You can go ahead and send over a resume for review, and I will take a look at that. And I do those live on stream. I do them as private sessions as well, but I won't push the mock interviews too hard tonight. But if you do have any like interview types of questions or career types of questions, happy to address those. There are Mormons here. I mean, good buddy mine down the street is Mormon, and we don't hang out as much as we did when we first moved into the neighborhood, but really great family, like super nice folks. Last October, I got really into family tree stuff because I was out in Scotland and got to research a bunch of my family sort of roots and things like that. And when I got back here, I kind of hit them up and said like, hey, can I like come to your temple or whatever they call it and, you know, do some family research and whatever. And they have like this open library that you can go in and get on their computers and download all kinds of information. So it was great. All right, so let's see what's going on with these static things over here. So I need to go find my logs, I think. Let me see if I can get my Streamer.bot logs loaded up here in an editor that I can actually read and see what's going on with this. Because unfortunately, there is a boatload of text that gets saved into these log files. And so it might take me a minute to just debug the log file and see what's going on. But we will take a look here. So when I send a message, I want to see, I'm just going to write a message over here. Does it see that come in the log file? Didn't seem to actually trigger the command that I was looking for the static responses. So static responses, it should be looking at any kind of incoming chat that matches a regular expression. Actually, the static chat response, yeah, it should be anything that starts with an exclamation point should run through this code. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to log, like, did we even get in here? So log debug. Got here. Let's just see if that even gives us anything. So if I do like LinkedIn again, do we see that get triggered? I don't see that triggered in the log. So I added a log file or a log message here that just says got here, but I don't see that anywhere in my actual log file for Streamer.bot, which tells me that when folks chat on YouTube, it's not seeing the incoming chat message on Streamer.bot. So why is that? Auto connect first words is all set up. We can see the present viewers. It's monitoring the broadcast. So we should be seeing chat messages coming in. Yeah, all this came through. So why is it not seeing the chat message? Can somebody else viewing the stream go load this up on YouTube? Let me drop the link over here. If someone could go check this link and just load it up in a separate browser and look for my live video and just do like any kind of exclamation point, like exclamation point Discord or something like that. If you can help me out on that. Or like LinkedIn or any of the other static responses that we have for like newsletter, resume, anything like that would be a big help. Because I'm trying to figure out why Streamer.bot's not seeing chat messages from YouTube. Because it seems to be seeing everything else. Anybody on Twitch help me out with that? Can you go over to YouTube? It's just youtube.com/@IanDouglas, not 736, just @IanDouglas. And find my live video over there and just do like exclamation point Discord or something like that. I don't know if it's because I'm typing the message over there. Let me see if it's even doing anything at all with YouTube. No, I don't see anything at all in the log file about YouTube. It's almost like Streamer.bot doesn't know what to do with YouTube. I'm going to try stopping Streamer.bot and restart it and see if that'll help. I don't know that it'll help, but at this point it can't hurt. All right, so that's back up and running. We got all our actions here, static chat response. I'm just curious if I can get this got here from anything that gets typed over on YouTube. What else do I have over there? Let's just do resume. No, it's not seeing the chat messages coming over from YouTube. Okay. So it seems to be a Streamer.bot issue. I'll have to figure that one out. Because I'm not seeing anything in the log at all about YouTube at all. It says it's monitoring. It's updating the viewers. You know, I'm going to do something a little different here. Let's close that. Darth Golem's asking on Twitch, what are my thoughts on AI literacy? The school I'm interviewing at tomorrow has a big initiative about it. That's a good question. It's a little loaded. From the perspective that there are a lot of different sort of viewpoints on what it means to be AI literate, because the schools that are telling students don't use AI expect you to graduate knowing how to use AI. Because the job market is going to expect that you know how to use AI. So I would say if you're interviewing at a school tomorrow, I think the best thing you can do is talk about how you're going to prepare your students to at least use AI in some capacity so that they are proficient when they graduate. Because they're going to need some level of proficiency that they're not currently going to have with the more traditional education models that we have going on right now. That's my take. I think schools are doing students a bit of a disservice in telling them not to use AI, but then the job market is expecting that they know AI when they're done. So I think there's a mismatch in there. And I think that that's going to cause problems with with graduation rates and things like that. You're well aware it's loaded, yeah. Trying to plan how to go into it. Do you know anything at all about the school's position on AI? Have you done any kind of research on what they already think about AI? I don't think jobs expect people to use AI yet, says Grey Hatter. In the tech industry, they certainly do. In the tech industry, they want you to hit the ground running, knowing how to use AI to be really proficient at what you do. Maybe not so much in other industries, but I would say if you can go into a job interview and explain how you use AI to be more efficient, more effective, more like hit the ground running, here's, the suite of tools I can bring with me, things that I know how to do, you're going to set yourself apart against other people who don't know how to use those tools. There was a saying that I heard about a year ago that basically said, AI is not going to replace you at your job, but people that know how to use AI are going to replace you at your job. So if you think about letting that sink in for a minute, like you're going to need to know AI tooling, otherwise you're going to get replaced by people who know AI tooling. Grey Hatter says that hasn't been my experience in a security software engineering. Security, I would say, is like one of the few that are still kind of holdouts on we want to do things manually, mostly because a lot of the models aren't good at security yet. I mean, until like Mythos and Fable came out, we didn't really have a lot of good models that were really strongly focused, trained on like the security side of things and trying to find vulnerabilities. I think we're going to start seeing a shift from that. Like when Fable came out and then got shut down, people got to use it for about a week and saw what it could do. And they were basically kind of figuring out the prompts and the system prompts and so on inside of Fable. And then they went around, all these open source models and started putting those system prompts into other open source models or open weighted models, and have started now to come out with slightly okay security models. They're still not going to have the level of expertise that you have. From the software point of view, though, software testing, QA, documentation, technical writing, all of those are absolutely using AI right now. The models aren't good at anything, says Grey Hatter. I think it depends a little bit on the model that you're using. But yeah, when it comes to security, I agree. There aren't very many models that have been trained well on security. But from a software point of view, they're getting really, really, really good. It's very interesting how different your and my understanding of the world is. I mean, I work in software every day. I interact with our software team quite a bit, or our security team quite a bit, our security ops team at the company where I work. And they're also very hesitant about using AI for a lot of things. Like they want to be hands-on. They want to understand everything in and out, and they want to help screen things, which I think is the right thing to do. I don't think any models are good. None of them are worth paying for. Yeah, I mean, I have an open source setup here at home, and I've got a bunch of models running on here with a router. So if I ask it for coding, it uses one model. If I ask it for, writing or documentation, it uses a different model. And if I ask for security, it's, trying to use this other model, but it's not very good either. But from a software point of view, it's actually really, really decent, but it's very, very slow compared to the cloud models. But I can basically have it go scrape a bunch of stuff overnight, and I come back in the morning and it's got like a bunch of notes compiled for me that I can then spend my day doing my job. And so I just have this thing. And then at work, I have credits that I can use for other things if I need it. I mostly use those things for like code completions and things like that. But I try really hard not to let AI just write my code for me. Because I still have to be smart enough to know what it did and that it did it properly. So what does very, very slow mean? I mean, in the time that it would take, at work we use Anthropic models, and what might take an Anthropic model, say 15, 20 minutes to do, might take my rig like an hour and a half to do. So it'll output the same kind of quality of work, but it's several times slower. But it's free. I mean, I had to buy the hardware and so on, but it's free. It's not running a typical GPU type of thing. It's a unified memory model, 128 gigs of unified memory, and runs really well. The VLLM router that I have set up works really well. So there's a small inference model that kind of looks at kind of the chat history of what I've been doing, and it tries to figure out, what am I asking for in this next prompt? Am I asking for code or documentation or an image generator or whatever? And it routes it to an appropriate model that I have also defined. So, and it works well. It's just slow. So it's a while. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. It's not hours to days. Like, like if I'm telling it like, hey, go write me a Python script, to do blah, 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 it'll crank that out in a couple of minutes, the same as a, cloud frontier kind of model would. But if I'm asking it like, hey, go scrape a bunch of documentation or go scrape a bunch of the transcripts. So this is a real example that I did. I basically went through all of my live stream videos from the past, every talk I've ever given on career prep, how to build resumes, how to do interviews. I've got all these notes sort of compiled as recordings. And then I basically had AI go through, transcribe them all, write summaries for them all. And then I basically built that into like a little RAG system. So if I wanted to do something like, hey, I'm thinking about a new newsletter purely about AI. What have I ever said about AI? Go compile things, give me like a scaffold or give me an outline of like how I could write another set of newsletters about how to use AI and see what it would come back with. That would actually take, an overnight kind of thing, because I've got a lot of notes, and having to go through and transcribe things, that's already been done. But that took many, many, many days to go through, close to a terabyte of audio and video files and transcribe everything and then summarize all of those and then get all of that into like a RAG database. But that's partly how I went through and rewrote my tech interview newsletters, where I used to have just one newsletter and it was about 40 pieces of content. And I was hosting that and sending that out for a number of years, but I never really got around to updating the content. And so last summer, I did exactly what I just described. I said, go through all my notes, all my blog posts, things that I've written for other people, interviews that I've done, like where like a blogger has interviewed me, for, something about something they were writing about career prep and interview prep, talks that I've done at code schools and conferences and things like that around building resumes and how to interview, and then all my live streams, transcribing all of those. And then give me an outline for, I want to make a newsletter just for behavioral, just for general prep, just for resumes. And it went through and said, here's an approximate outline of what you could do. And then I went through and I wrote, almost, I think it was like 180 pieces of content, and just going through and like revamping and refreshing everything. What I should have done after that, though, was have AI go through and actually do spell check and grammar check, because I've actually had a couple of people respond to the messages going like, hey, your grammar's wrong here, this is spelled weird, kind of thing. So I go back and I touch that stuff up when people contact me. Thanks, Darth Gollum. I'm glad you're getting some use out of those newsletters for sure. So yeah, that was part of why I wanted to build out those newsletters, but having AI help me with that made it so much faster than for me to sit down and try to plan all that stuff out myself, because it could rip through all of those transcripts. And, it took several days it took probably close to 2 weeks to actually transcribe everything and then get it into like a RAG database where I could then query against that and say, hey, based on all this content that I have now, if I wanted to make a newsletter about such and such a topic, write me an outline of how I could do like 20 or 30 pieces of content. And then just through the process of that, I'm like, okay, well, this one's starting to feel a little long. I'm going to break that one into like multiple newsletters or whatever. And so now the newsletters have like, some of them have 30 or 40 pieces of content. And then for the things like data systems and or data structures and algorithms and system design, like there's so much you can cover there. So that one easily got, I think, close to 50 pieces of content. Just here's some pseudocode to kind of get you through these algorithms, and then talking about similar kinds of patterns for system design. But the other 3 newsletters, like the general prep, the resume, and the behavioral questions, those are applicable, I think, to any kind of career, no matter what you're doing. So whether you're Darth Gollum and you're going for an interview at a school, or, we've had other people on the stream, going in and out of different industries and curious about like how to answer certain kinds of questions. I think those newsletters cater to anybody. So you're welcome to go check those out for sure. And I'm always happy to get feedback on those newsletters. So you can hit reply on any newsletter and you get straight to my inbox. If you got a question, happy to take that. Or if you have feedback, like, hey, I'm not sure this is accurate in 2026, or hey, your take on this, whatever kind of feedback, good or bad. I'm happy to take feedback on the stuff. Smith KXX, thanks for the follow over on Twitch. Appreciate that. Cool deal. So like I said, I've got about 2 hours to stream. So I got about an hour and a half left. I actually have to do 2 mock interviews tonight. Helping someone get started with like a series of mock interviews around system design, and then actually doing another system design interview with someone else after that. And then I got to get to bed. So we'll probably wrap up in, I don't know, hour and a half, give or take. We'll see if any other questions come in, but yeah, I appreciate what Grey Hatter had to say about AI, because different teams will use it very differently for sure. But I think we're going to start to see more companies introducing AI as part of their interview process. We're already seeing it at Meta. They're actually getting you to do actual AI work as part of your interview process to see how well you can use AI. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We got ads in about 15 seconds. They're going to last about a minute, I think. So we'll see everybody back in about 30 seconds if you're on Twitch. If you're on YouTube, I don't know if you get ads over there. I don't think you get ads. Or if you have Turbo, hey, we can keep chatting for sure. Smith says, I started using Claude recently. Was amazed at the different programs it's made for me on the fly. I work in IT as well. I mean, some of the tools work really, really well for sure. Grey Hatter says, I refuse to use AI. I guess I can't get a job at Meta. I mean, you're probably not missing out on much. No offense to anybody at Meta, but some of the big FANG companies. I mean, I thought I wanted to work at FANG, and then I went and worked at FANG, and then I thought I don't want to work at FANG anymore. In some ways, it's really good. I mean, obviously the pay is really good, but there are downsides to working in really, really big kind of internally competitive sorts of companies, and making sure that the team that you're on kind of works well as a team and things like that. So Raider says, everyone I know at Meta says it's awful. Yeah. Well, I worked with somebody at Postman. They left Postman to go to Meta, and then they got hit with the next round of layoffs or something. So they had to go find another job like 6 months later, maybe a year later. So, the internal culture can be really bad at some of those really big companies. And it's been like that at Amazon for years. Like the internal competition, like the drive to outdo one another so that you don't get fired, is really, really bad at Amazon. And it's been really, really bad for as long as I've known Amazon. And I've applied there in the past and never got through their, what do they call it? Their leadership principles interview. That one always trips me up. So you can ask me any question about career prep, but don't ask me about leadership principles. I had to go do my own mock interviews with other people to try to get through those. And I thought I answered well, but the last time I interviewed with them, they were asking for like a lot of the stories that they were asking me to describe to them had happened like a fair way back in my career. Hadn't been anything really super modern because I had just gotten out of 4 years of teaching. And then I went back into the workplace, and that's roughly when I went to apply at Amazon. And they're like, oh, tell me about the time when you did blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, it was like several jobs ago and, felt like a lifetime ago. And they didn't want to hear something from like even 5 years previous. They wanted something like, tell me about your last job. I'm like, well, my last job, I was a software instructor. Like I'm not going to have the answer that you're looking for. So didn't get the job, but also don't regret not getting that job. Amazon is a race to the bottom. Yeah. I mean, it's, I wouldn't say it's always been a race to the bottom, but it's certainly had better days than others as far as like the company culture and so on. But, and to be fair, I know people that do work there and they don't mind it, but I think you have to have a certain kind of personality to like put up with that internal competition sort of drive. And I just want to work. I just want to work on my team and get stuff done and not worry about the politics and the bureaucracy of, oh, my manager has to, have a certain number of people who have to score below expectations, even if they're doing their job just fine, because that's how they're told to do things as a manager. So it's weird. And we started to see that at other other FANG companies. And then, the last big company, like the big company I was at was Block. And I left there before they did their big giant layoff earlier this year. But the team that I was on, that whole team, I think got let go. So, I mean, I would have only been there like another couple of months anyway, if I had stayed. But yeah, I mean, so kind of going back to the conversation, like there are some things that AI does really, really well. And we're seeing pretty drastic improvements on math and coding. But like Grey Hatter was saying, like it's still pretty garbage for security types of tools. I think it's a matter of time before we'll see that get better. In the meantime, people are figuring out ways of getting AI to look for vulnerabilities and find vulnerabilities faster than security people, I think, can keep up. But I also get why, as a security person, I wouldn't want to deploy AI as a frontline defense, because AI just doesn't understand that. And trying to, put a finger in the dam over here is going to like open 5 more holes over here. So I don't think that's what anybody wants. So good times. A lot of Smith says a lot of people I know at jobs are using Claude as well. I mean, the Claude and Opus and models like that at Anthropic, they do decently well. Although Claude is more of an agent tool, which you still have to then talk to an LLM. But the agents are doing a pretty decent job at helping you stay organized. But ultimately, it comes down to the model that agent is communicating with. Like when I was at Block, I was working on an AI agent called Goose, which I thought was kind of a weird name, but whatever. And it was all about like, oh, vibe code with Goose. Look how good Goose is at doing things. And it's like, well, it's not Goose that's doing it. It's the LLM under Goose. Like Goose is just the middleman between me and the LLM, getting the LLM to write some code or whatever. It's not the AI agent itself. It's the underlying LLM. And I think in some ways, some of those are getting really, really good at writing code. But there's also like this whole garbage in, garbage out mentality where these models are being trained on internet content, but a lot of internet content now is AI generated and it's kind of garbage and it's not always factual. But that's exactly the content they're feeding back into the AI to train the next models on AI. So it's like, at what point is the AI going to like completely be unhinged because it's been trained on bad data as opposed to what we know as good data? And then it comes down to, how do we know what the people are training it with, that somehow they are trusting the content that they're training the AI on, as opposed to just go scrape everything in the world? Because we know how well that has worked out for a lot of AI tools in the past, like Twitter bots and things like that. Was it Microsoft that made a Twitter bot that like went completely off the rails, like within a matter of days? Because it was basically reading everything off of Twitter, and it just went down some really dark holes, and they had to shut it off like pretty soon after release, just because it started getting really vile and like really like really nasty with folks online, because that's exactly what it was feeding into the reinforcement training. And I think that's one thing we have to be really careful of as we're training these models, is like, what are we training it on? And how do we know that the data we're training it with is actually good data and not other vibe coded garbage? You know, that someone's like, I don't know how to code, so I'm going to get this thing to write the code. And hey, look, the app works. I'm going to go put it on the Play Store and expect to be a millionaire. You still have to be smart enough to know that what it built was right. And I think a lot of people are getting lazy about that. So I appreciate folks like Gray Hatter that are like, I don't want to use AI for that stuff. Like, I want to be like hands-on and do it myself. And like I said, I use it a lot for ideation, scaffolding, you know, come up with ideas, you know, go read through all this stuff and then like give me some fresh ideas that these things aren't. Go find me some fresh ideas that I can go do. And then I'll go actually produce that content myself. So yeah, I've had some pretty good conversations with my kids about AI as well. They're, you know, one's a senior in high school, one's about to be a junior in high school, and hearing their take on AI is really interesting. And how they do and don't want to use AI, mostly don't want to use AI. So it's going to be interesting to see what their sort of college experience is going to be like and what their career aspirations and career outlook is going to be, you know, coming up from their generation that they don't want anything to do with AI. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of jobs are out there where you don't have to use AI. Smith says, of course, I had to hold its hand on certain things to tweak it some more for what I actually needed. I was pretty impressed. But it's for you only. I got you, yeah. But at the same time, like, you still have to understand what it's doing. And then there's a bit of a data privacy kind of concern where, you know, everything that you do is being sent to some cloud model and you don't know if they're doing reinforcement training based on what you're sending. Our company, for example, has written in our contract that they are not going to train their AI on the data that we send it, period. So when you get like enterprise level plans with these AI companies, they promise they're not training their AI on your data. We can only hope they're telling the truth on that, but they promise they're not going to. But if you're just paying for your own like private account or whatever, we've seen over the past couple of months that these AI companies are kind of secretly putting a little switch in there going, hey, you know, as of July or August or September or whatever, we're going to start training our AI on your data unless you go in and specifically turn this thing off. But then you have to jump through all these hoops in order to turn the thing off. We've seen it on social media over the last year that, you know, they're training AI on social media posts, you know, and so you have to go in, you have to specifically say, like, don't train on my data. Meanwhile, your feed is still getting cluttered up with AI generated garbage. So, yeah. So I'm not as much a fan of like the AI generated videos and stuff like that. That said, I was debating trying to set up some kind of workflow for the dad jokes that I have, because I've got a lot of dad jokes. I've got over 700 dad jokes. And I was actually debating feeding that into an AI video generator where the person in the joke would look like me telling the joke. And I had to generate one video and it came out pretty good. It kind of looks like me. And, you know, it did a pretty good job making this, you know, little 10, 15 second dad joke video. But at the same time, putting it out there, people are like, oh, AI garbage, right? And they're not going to engage with it anyway. So, but I also don't have time to sit down and like manually record, you know, and do costume changes for all the ways that I want to do these dad jokes and stuff. But I think it could be kind of fun. Maybe when I retire, I'll do that. Although by then there'll be granddad jokes. So we'll see. But yeah, AI is actually getting really, really good at coding. It's pretty impressive how good AI has gotten at writing code. But yeah, other things, not so much. Other things are still pretty shaky, but I think it's a matter of time. And, you know, they're doing some pretty interesting things with setting up, you know, new structures and new information inputs and things like that. I mean, you know, that's how we saw Mythos and Fable, get taken down by the US government because they were so good at finding security vulnerabilities and whatever. It'd be interesting to see what happens now that Fable and Mythos are back out for people to use. It'd be interesting to see what kind of vulnerabilities we see exploited over the next couple of months, because I think it's going to happen for sure. I think it'll be just a matter of time. But anyway, you have been using Fable a bit, yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. I think it's going to keep people like Grey Hatter on their toes for sure. So yeah, it'd be interesting for sure. Zapper coming in with a 5-stream streak. Welcome in. Good to see you. Got 5 5s going in there. Thanks for coming by. Grey Hatter, a lot of jobs of programming are using it. Yeah. So Grey Hatter knows. Like, Grey Hatter's not ignorant to AI. Just Grey Hatter doesn't want to use AI, and I respect that. I thought it was really interesting when the Pope came out and said, human intervention and human art and things like that. Like, we have to respect that and we have to protect that. And came out with this whole thing about AI is bad from the Pope. And then I saw a couple of social media posts where people are like, so if the Pope said it, can I go to HR and claim a religious exemption from using AI? And a bunch of HR people actually chimed in on social media and said, yeah. I mean, if you are Catholic and you believe, what the Pope says, and you want to follow what the Pope says, and the Pope says don't use AI, yeah, is it a religious exemption? And then what happens if you're not as proficient at your job compared to other people on your team that are using AI? If you're not as proficient, you're not getting as much work done, then if you get laid off, is that like religious discrimination because you chose based on your religion to not use AI, and then you're not as proficient, and so you don't perform as well, and so you get laid off? Is that like a discrimination suit? I think it'd be kind of interesting to see how that one plays out. So, do I still have all 5 fingers? I do. I actually have all 10 fingers. So yeah, I'm good. We hung out with some with a family lives down the road, and we watched some fireworks from their backyard and then came home. So yeah, it was pretty chill. Cool. Well, for anybody else hanging out over on YouTube, I do see a couple of folks over on YouTube. I'm streaming on YouTube as well as over on Twitch. So I got the multi-stream thing set up, and it's doing vertical format over there. What I don't know is how well it's coming through on mobile. Let me go check that out real quick. See if I can pull that up on the YouTubes. I'm just curious how well the formatting looks, because when I look at it on my YouTube studio over here, it looks like it's doing horizontal format, but with just the vertical bit in between. So I'm trying to figure out. Nope, it actually looks pretty good. I mean, it's a little delayed. It's quite a bit delayed. It's about 30 seconds delayed from what I'm actually broadcasting, but it works. So. Cool deal. Brian and Bottles, what's going on? Yeah, the automatic shoutout thing, I need to fix how that happens. I think because the bot is sending the shoutout, it's not being picked up as an actual chat message to then actually go do the shoutout. So we'll give Brian a proper shoutout here in a few moments, at least, whenever that actually happens. Welcome in, Brian. Good to see you. Hope your holiday season has been good as well. Brian's up in Canada land, so he had July 1st as opposed to July 4th. Let's see if we can figure out the timer on services, timers. Oh, it did not do the shoutout timer. No, the bot does have high enough privilege because the bot is a mod and mods can do the shoutout command. Like you're a mod, so you can do a shoutout command. But I don't see you in the queue, so even my... Oh no, the shoutout did go out. Never mind. Brian says, on Canada Day, we had a massive thunderstorm that flooded a bunch of streets and knocked out your power for 2 days. Oh, man. We had a power outage, I think, the day before on June 30th, and it knocked out our power for, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. Or sorry, no, it knocked it out for about 2 hours. But the neighbor that we went and hung out with yesterday for 4th of July, it knocked out their power like 5 times and like during the day. Like it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. That would drive me bonkers. Like I would just pack up all my stuff and like go work out of a coffee shop if that happened. So, yeah, I'm not sure why the bot sending the message doesn't do the shout out properly, but I'll diagnose that later. Meanwhile, Brian probably sees me doing like 50 shout outs a night for him because he tends to be my go-to when I'm testing the shout out thing. The other thing I want to do on the shout out thing is actually like pull a random clip from your stream and like pop it up here on the screen somewhere to show when the shout out actually happens. But what I started setting up was a known group of streamers so that when you show up in chat, it'll automatically do the shout out as you saw. But that shout out didn't actually add you to the queue. So we need to figure that out. What I might do is figure out how to get your name set up as an argument and then just go call the other code or something like that. I don't know. It's nice to be the go-to for something. I mean, hey. But yeah, go give Brian a follow, everybody. He has a really fun stream. He's got something fun on his stream that I can't wait to tune in for the next one. But if you subscribe over on his channel, he has these like little glass vials filled with various concoctions that I think his family make for him. And it'll look like blue liquid or red liquid or orange liquid or purple liquid. And he doesn't know whether it's like vodka with food coloring or if it's like pickle juice and limeade. Like he has no idea until he actually takes a drink. So it'll be a lot of fun. Gonna have to do 5 potions. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, 5 potions. Yeah, that's right. Because I did two 5 bombs over on Brian's stream. So mostly hoping for the pickle juice, but we'll see. I should probably get your family's contact info and get some recipes over for them. Get some like ghost pepper infused something just to really mess with you. But yeah, go give Brian a follow. He's a good dude to go watch. He does a lot of fun Fortnite streams and other games and stuff like that. So Reby doesn't need any help. Are you sure? I mean, I'd be happy to give Reby some ideas. I don't know if I posted this in Discord or just on my Instagram, but I found a pretty hilarious meme image the other day. No, I didn't post it. I'm gonna go put it in there right now because this thing was pretty funny. Brian, you'll get a kick out of this. So if you go check out the Discord, there's a channel in there for dad jokes and memes where we post all kinds of ridiculous stuff. But I gotta post this one specifically because I thought this one was hilarious. So it's a Gerber baby. It's a Gerber baby, but it's like ghost pepper flavored. And the baby's like sobbing. It's so great. I love stuff like that. Not for the torture of the child, of course, but... And then this one for the 4th of July. Someone posted on social media. It said, "You can have my fireworks when you pry them from my cold, dead fingers, which are right over there by the sidewalk." So, but yeah, we came back with all 10 fingers on all the family members. We didn't light any fireworks ourselves. So, good times, good times. Cool. So I do need to figure out the whole YouTube chat thing. Unfortunately, I don't know how to test YouTube while I'm not streaming live. Because on Twitch, you can always, like, if you stream on Twitch, you can pull up your chat at any time. You can just interact with chat, and Streamer.bot works just fine. But for some reason, when people chat on YouTube, it's not picking things up in Streamer.bot for incoming chat requests or like the static responses and things like that. None of that seems to be working on YouTube. So I will need to debug that at some point. We'll probably tackle that a little bit on Thursday, I think. So, but yeah, welcome in everybody. We got what, 16 people or so over on Twitch. I think we're up to 2 people on YouTube. So hello to the 2 people on YouTube. If everybody on Twitch could also go load me up on YouTube, I'd appreciate having some extra views. Although I don't think I'm supposed to ask for that, so ignore that. Wink, wink. Ignore that advice. Let's see. Thursday we made our higher lower game, and it works pretty well. We had fun testing that out. We found a couple of interesting bugs with it, but it's all ironed out now and works really well. So if anybody wants to try a game of higher lower, we can try that out. And then I've got a whole bunch of other kind of scaffolding set up to start a few other games that will actually have like a visual component on the screen, like a tic-tac-toe ladder tournament kind of thing where people in chat play one another on tic-tac-toe, or you'll be assigned like a tic-tac-toe grid and you'll be able to type in a position of where you want your X or O to go. And so I've got some stuff started for that. We may work on that one a little bit on Thursday. But yeah, if anybody wants to play higher lower, let me know. I can start a game up in Twitch chat. If you're on YouTube, you won't be able to play, unfortunately, because we don't have it working over on YouTube. But let's see. I'm really curious why we don't see incoming chat messages from YouTube. I did leave the stock price thing running as well over Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So some of the stock prices got pretty extreme. So the Jamdolf one is now worth almost 20,000 points. So good times over there. If you want to check your points, you can do !holdings, and it'll show you how many points you have if you want to play our little stock emote game over there. But yeah, we're not seeing incoming chat messages in Streamer.bot from YouTube. The only thing that I seem to be getting from YouTube is an updated list of who's viewing. I'm not sure why that is. Thank you for the hydrate, Brian. Appreciate it. Unfortunately, I'm drinking plain old water. This is some new flavors from Hint Water. This one is a rainbow sherbet ice pop. So I think it's raspberry, lime, and orange. It's pretty good. Let me go check email. I don't think I got pinged that there were any incoming resumes. Nope, no incoming resumes. Although I did get a payment from my mock interviews, so that's always good. Nope, no resumes. Not yet, anyway. But yeah, happy to continue the conversation around AI or any other career prep. If anybody's got questions, happy to address those. If anybody wants to do a resume review, you're welcome to send one over. You can do !resume if you're on Twitch. If you are on YouTube, I will paste the link in here for you. If anybody over on YouTube wants to get a free resume review, happy to help you out with that tonight. Just having a look around, see if there's anything else going on. Oh, give Riker a treat. Okay. Hey, Reverie, good to see you. Riker? Riker? Riker, come here. Here he comes. Somebody gave you a treat. Yeah, somebody offered you a treat. All right. Let's give Riker some stinky treats. Well, you gotta come over here, and then you gotta jump up here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so there's number one. Nom, 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 nom. Nom, nom. Another one. Up here. Nom, nom, nom. Right up here. Ready? Oh. I think I know why he's not catching them when I drop them, because he's facing all the lights that I have facing me. And he probably doesn't see this tiny little, like, pellet of liver-flavored goodness. 3 calories per treat. 3 calories, but they stink for 3 hours, so... Appreciate the treats for Riker. He especially appreciates the treats over there for sure. Good deal, good deal. Well, let's see. By the time I need a resume again, they'll probably be done by hologram or brainwave transmission or something. Yeah, hopefully, right? Brian, how's it going with the language stuff? You had a certain amount of time to become fluent in another language, as I recall. I never really followed up with you on that one to see how that's going. Let's see. Who else is hanging out tonight? Who else is lurking? I mean, I can see a list of lurkers, but I won't call you out by name because that could be rude. But hello to everybody who is in chat but not saying hi in chat. That's okay. You don't have to chat in chat. But thank you for being here. Appreciate it. I was watching someone else do some resume reviews last week. There's someone else that I follow here on Twitch that does resume reviews, but he takes the typical engagement rage bait kind of approach and telling you that your resume is garbage and why it needs to burn in fire and like just really trashes it. And then he tells you you have to use his format because it's the only A+ resume format in the world kind of thing, which I don't agree with. But he has had some interesting takes on things that I think are changing my mind a little bit about resumes as well. But yeah, his stream is, I don't know, it's interesting to watch, mostly because I watch out of pity for the people whose resumes he just completely trashes. And I don't agree with taking that kind of approach. I don't think that that's really helpful for folks, because he'll go through and be like, nope, this is garbage. Get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. And he talks about hot dogs and hamburgers. And he's like, his whole thing is like, if you go to a restaurant and you tell them you want a hamburger, and then they come out and they say, you know, we know you wanted a hamburger, but we brought you a hot dog. You know, kind of the feeling that you would have at the restaurant of like, this isn't what I want. Like, why in the world would I want a hot dog? And he uses that analogy as he's doing his resume reviews, where he's going through and he's like, nope, that's a hot dog. That's a hot dog. That's a hot dog. This is all garbage. Like, get rid of this whole thing. Like, you need to rewrite this whole thing. But then he doesn't really tell you how or why you need to rewrite things. He just tells you it's bad. And he'll make YouTube shorts that just go on and on and on about like how awful your resume is, but then doesn't really tell you what to go improve. So my goal by doing resume reviews on the stream is to take a bit of a different approach and actually tell you like, hey, this is what we look for. Now, in his position, he's actually a recruiter, but he's also a third-party like headhunter recruiter that tries to find resumes to submit to other companies. I've actually been like an internal hiring manager from an engineering point of view, where I've been an engineering manager reviewing resumes for people to get jobs. And so I have a slightly different take on what I look for as an engineering manager from what he would look for as a recruiter. And I respect that there are going to be differences, but I don't think it's helpful to have a whole channel just trashing people's resumes. And he's got a long queue of resumes that people want reviews. But all he's doing is he's ripping through them going, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. You need to rewrite all this stuff, but not really explaining how or why. And so I kind of feel bad for like the 100 people that are sitting in his queue waiting for a resume review. I kind of want to start dropping in chat and be like, hey, I know this other channel that does resume reviews for free, but I also don't want to get banned from his channel. But yeah, it's interesting to think about how people have different sort of hot takes and how that level of sort of rage bait really caters to the engagement side of social media, unfortunately. So anywho, back to Brian. I haven't started yet. I do need to get evaluated, but I know I'm going to get like the lowest possible scores. I'll probably have to take the year-long French course, but I'm trying to put it off until 2028. Gotcha. My youngest was trying to do a crossword puzzle last night at the July 4th thing that we went to at this other's family's house. And this crossword he was doing was asking for like the French word for possessive. And I'm like how many letters is it? It's like 3 letters. And I'm like, what's a 3-letter French possessive? And I'm like racking my own brain going like, I don't even remember. I mean, I haven't done any French since 2000 when I left Ottawa. It's been a hot minute. RC Maniac hanging out in chat. Good to see you, bud. RC had some fun with July 4th as well. Sent me some fun video of goings on over on the East Coast. I'm actually going to be out in New York in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be hanging out there for several days. I've got a conference that I'm going to, and then I'm going to be just hanging out around New York and New Jersey for I think 2 days after the conference. I'm just going to kind of wander around and see what's up there. Probably head into Jersey for 1 day. So I'll do like 1 day in New York and 1 day in New Jersey. So trying to find like, what are the key things I want to do? Like I want to find like 2 things to do in each city. I don't want to be one of those people where like, you know, I want to go see 20 different things. It's like, no, I want to go find 2 things. And if those 2 things are good, then, you know, then next time I go back, I'll find 2 other things. I'm a big fan of like, you don't have to do it all in one trip. So anywho, but yeah, I got to do a couple of mock interviews tonight. Normally I wouldn't do them on Sunday, but, one of the people I'm helping out has an interview on Tuesday. So he was kind of desperate to do an interview. And because I opened up my calendar, someone else was able to book a session. So I'll be doing 2 mock interviews later this evening, and then I got to get to bed because I got to work tomorrow. So we'll probably call it here in the next half hour or so. But the higher lower game's ready to go. So let's get that loaded up. Let's run a game of higher lower. So there will be a join command to run. So let me kick it off here. So the game has started. They've got some instructions in chat. Basically, everybody in chat is going to cooperate, and whatever number you enter will be averaged together. And then as chat, it will tell you whether you need to guess higher or lower as a chat group. So go ahead and hit join. You got about 40 seconds left to join. So go ahead and do !join if you want to play for some points. And the sooner we all hone in on the number, the more points we all win. So if anybody else wants to jump in and play. All right, we got Zapper in there. Who else is going to play higher or lower with us? So basically, yeah, we just start guessing a number. It'll only take the first number that you type in, and then it'll average those together, compared against a number that the game chose, and then it'll tell us whether we need to guess higher or lower. So we'll have to kind of remember what those boundaries are. 10 seconds left. Anybody? Just me and Zapper? Oh, and we got ads in 3 minutes. Good thing it's a chat-only game. All right, so we're going to have 15 seconds before the game actually starts, Zapper. Too late, Brian. You had a minute to join, man. It's too late now. Oh, you're AFK? No worries. All right, so round 1. So I'm just going to start in the middle. Oh, it says the prize pool is 0 points. That's not right. Wait, And the number's out of range? Okay, the game is broke. Yeah, the game is totally broken right now. All right, so we'll start a new game. Yeah, definitely got some bugs going on here. What's going on with the game? It did not guess anything correctly. It did not set up anything properly. Let me go reload things here, and we will start a new game. So bear with me for a moment. Let's see. Yeah, it didn't pick up any. Didn't pick up any of the participants or anything. So it's interesting that it still thinks that there are rounds to play when there are no participants to play. All right, so let me do this. I'm just going to set the round to 10. Come on, set it to 10. Set it to 9. Nope, it didn't change. Why didn't it change? There it goes. All right. Yeah, it didn't set up anything properly for the game. So let me go in and try and reset everything for the game, and we will try it again. Then Brian can play. All right, where is my game? Here it is. Game setup. All right, everything should be set up. Although I said that last time. Yeah, Zapper, we'll start a new game here in just a moment. It still thinks that the game is being played. It should have reset even the state of the game, but did not. Rounds 10, game active, false. Let's see if that'll shut it off. All right, we will start a new game. We'll wait a few seconds just to make sure that this one's done, and then we'll restart. We'll refresh the game here. And then I'm going to set it really high. I'm going to set the points to 10,000 points. And we'll set our DK to 950 points. And if you happen to guess the number exactly correct at any point during the game, I'm going to give you 100,000 points. All right, so we got ads. They end in 60 seconds, and we'll start a new game. All right, I'm just going to go reset all the high-low stuff here. All right, there we go. We are back from ads. All right, we're going to start a new game. Game high-low. All right, everybody ready to join the game? Is everybody ready? We're going to restart the game. We're gonna play for 10,000 points. If you happen to guess the exact number, it will be worth 100,000 points. All right. So now we can do exclamation join. All right, we got a couple of folks in here. If anybody else wants to join, go ahead and do join. And basically all the numbers that we enter are going to get averaged together versus a number that it's going to tell us that we should guess. We got 30 seconds or so left if you want to join. If anybody on YouTube wonders what the heck is going on, you'll have to come over to Twitch to play the game because we don't have it wired up to YouTube at the moment. But I will work at getting it working over on YouTube as well. All right, we've got about 20 seconds left. If anybody else wants to join, just do exclamation point join in chat. No other takers? All right, so just the three of us. So me, Zapper, and Brian. So it's going to basically kick off in 15 seconds, and it's going to randomly pick a number, and then we have to figure out what number to guess. And then it'll tell us whether we need to guess higher or lower after that. All right, we're getting ready to start. So it'll tell you when the round actually starts. So round 1. So I'm going to start right in the middle. All right, Brian went a little higher at 62. What's Zapper going to come in at? 25. Okay, so we're going to average out somewhere around the halfway point. Somewhere in the 40s, maybe. Upper 40s, perhaps. I'm really bad at math on the fly. Oh, we also have it set to a 30-second timer. Okay, so average guess was 46. We need to guess higher than that. So your next number has to be higher than 46. So I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to say like 80. Actually, I guess, yeah, 80 is about right. No. All right, nice guess, Brian. Nice guess. All right. So we'll be up in the 70s at this point. And our prize pool is 9,000 points. And again, if anybody guesses the exact correct number, you'll win 100,000 points. All right, so our average was 75. We need to guess higher still. All right, so I'm going to go a little bigger. All right, so I threw 89 in there. Brian said 91, so we're averaged at 90. Zapper came in at 99, so that'll put us around 95. Probably round down to 95. Maybe 94. Let's see what we have coming in here. Average guess was 93, and we need to guess higher still. So it has to be higher than 93. So, I mean, Zapper went with 99. I'm going to do like 97. All right, Brian came in at 95. Does Zapper have a guess? Zapper came in at 98. Okay. Also, at any point, you can do exclamation point holdings and see how many points you have. All right, average guess was 97, and it's higher than that. Okay, so it's either 98 or 99 or 100. I'm going to guess 98. Brian came in at 98. Let's see what Zapper comes in at. Zapper came in right at 100, so that's going to average to 99. Maybe, or 98, I forget. What's it going to average at? Average is 99, guess lower. Okay, so we know it's 98 at this point. Zapper, you gonna get in? All right, 96. we knew it was higher than that. The last round it was 97. We had to guess higher than that. I don't know why you went lower than that. You threw off our average. All right, average is 97. We need to guess higher. All right, we all need to guess 99 or 98. Oops, try it again. 98. I was expecting Zapper to come in with like a 1 or something like that, just to throw us all off. Crater out that average. All right. Well, I think we honed in on it at least, so we should be good to go. All right, the average is 98, correct? All right. So Zapper, I actually saw you guess 98 early on. So, and because Brian and I put it out there as well, we also, like, basically everybody also won 100,000 points. So nice work, everybody. Cool. So we all got 4,300 points. Oh, I only got 3,600 because I missed a round. So that's the other thing too. If you don't participate in a round, you only get a fraction of the actual points. So It's not that everybody has to guess the correct answer. It's like whatever the average comes out at has to match. So like if you had guessed 100 and I had guessed 96 and we were the only two playing, that would have averaged at 98 and it would have ended the game. All right, Brian, good to see you, bud. Have a good night. It's going to be a heck of a week. Yeah, it's going to be a warm one out here for sure. So stay cool, and we'll catch you on your stream throughout the week, dude. Anyway, that's higher or lower. That was kind of a fun sort of cooperative game to build. But yeah, it doesn't like, it's not that everybody has to guess that number, but when there's only 3 people, it gets to a point where like all 3 people just have to type in the correct number at that point. I was debating whether to do like the number of rounds based on the number of people in chat that actually joined. Like if there's only 3 people, maybe we try like 5 or 6 rounds, because then maybe you don't get to guess the number. And so then you're like really trying to figure out what that average value is. But I decided to keep it at 10 rounds. It'll be a little chaotic if we had like 100 people in here trying to play the game. It would be kind of interesting to see like what those averages would be, because those averages would be all over the place. And there's always going to be that one person that's like, I'm just going to type 1 every round just to throw everybody off. But the way that I set it up is, even if it gets down to the very last round and nobody guesses, everybody who played still gets some amount of points. So I didn't want to be a complete meanie and not give anybody any points. So, but yeah, we need to get now that we're multi-streaming over to YouTube. I want to get the YouTube chat working on that kind of game as well, and then we can post over to YouTube as well. I need to build an abstraction in Streamer.bot that can figure out where I'm streaming and then send a message to that platform. So if I'm on YouTube but not Twitch, it'll send to YouTube. If I'm on Twitch as well, it'll send to both. If I'm only on Twitch, it'll only send to Twitch, that kind of thing. So I got to build some kind of layer of like where to notify, where to send those messages, but also where to listen for things, because we're not getting any chat messages at all from YouTube right now. Or maybe it's because it was me doing the messages. I don't know. Is anybody here also over on YouTube? Can you go check out the YouTube stream? Let me put the link in here. It's youtube.com/EDouglas. You can go find my live channel over there and just literally just say anything in chat so I can look at the log and see what's going on. Because it should be logging that people are saying things. Just for some reason, we're not actually seeing it show up in the log. And not entirely sure why. It's like I said, the only things that I'm seeing for YouTube right now is that it's tracking that people are watching on YouTube. So it's keeping track of like who's present on YouTube, but it's not tracking people that say things on YouTube. That's what I'm trying to debug. So if anybody on Twitch can also jump over to YouTube real quick and just put anything in chat, just type literally anything in chat. Because yeah, I only see it doing this update presence thing on YouTube, but also nobody over there is chatting either. So that's why I was kind of curious if somebody else can go over there and just put anything in chat, it would be helpful. So I'm wondering if it's ignoring the things that I've typed in there. But yeah, I'm only seeing like update presence on YouTube. It's not, doesn't seem to be processing any chat messages. Anybody? Nobody can help me out? I'm gonna have a hard time debugging this if someone can't help me out. But no worries. All right, thank you. AAA697. Thank you for putting something in chat for me over there. I'm just curious whether or how that's going to show up in my chat log, or in the Streamer.bot log at least, and see what we got. No, it's still just the presence timer thing. It didn't track anything about a chat message coming in. All right, well, I appreciate the attempt. I'll have to debug what's going on over there. Because it should be... Let me just go double check. Platforms, YouTube. It says I'm on. It's pulling in the broadcasts and all that stuff. Broadcast auto or account auto connect is on. Bot connect is on. First words is already set up. But for some reason it's not sending the chat from YouTube over to Streamer.bot. And I'm puzzled. Okay, we'll figure that out the next time. Let's see what else is going on tonight. Let's see. Who do we want to go bug tonight? So you got somebody grinding leak code. You go tell them how to do it better. There's people using AI, people doing game things. Let's see, we raided into Earend about a week ago, so we won't raid back into him. If anybody's got suggestions on a raid target, we can start keeping an eye out for that. I'm not going to raid like right now, but if anybody's got ideas on who we can go raid, any kind of good channel, any game developers or anything like that, I'm sure RC's got some ideas. Got some game jams going on, stream build, chat redeems. What are they using for their chat redeems? We're doing some Godot and Blender and Unity stuff. You know a raid train is in process? Okay. Zapper, good to see you, man. There's a raid train in process. Do we hitch a ride on that train, or do we go somewhere else? You like trains? Okay. Well, who can we raid into that's already on the train? Give me a couple of ideas of if you know like what the find the current person. Okay. Righty. Yeah, I wish I could figure out the YouTube chat thing, why that's not coming through. Because the platform's definitely connected. Let me go look at the static responses. Let's just switch over to the screen, see if we can figure this out. So normally we could say like go add YouTube chat, and we could look for a specific message. but that's going to be like every incoming message potentially. And we have this command set up right now to only watch for things that start with an exclamation point, I think. Yeah. But for some reason, this doesn't seem to come from YouTube. This is only looking at messages that are coming in from Twitch. So I'm kind of curious why. I'm curious why we can't get YouTube folks in here. Because this should be enabled for everybody. If you type in a command that starts with an exclamation and it's uppercase, lowercase, 0 or 9 or dash, then it should come into that block of code. And the first thing we're doing in that block of code is we say we got here. That code compiles okay. That's saved and compiles okay. And if we do a command on Twitch, it works. It's a Lego train. Yeah, we could go do Lego. But why don't we see the message coming in from YouTube? And unfortunately, I can't do like a pretend chat on YouTube like I can with Twitch if I'm not live streaming. So this might be something that we spend a little bit of time on Thursday trying to debug and see if we can figure out why we're not getting chat messages from YouTube specifically. All right, let me go look at... All right, we will go hang out on that stream, I guess. All right. YouTube is being mean, I know, right? So I'm going to put a raid message in here if y'all want to go grab a dad joke. And we will put that in the raid. And we will go right over to build time 13. It is intended for mature audiences. So if you want to grab that dad joke, we will... We'll catch you over in the raid, and we'll see you Thursday. I might try and do some debugging during the week on some of the stuff, but I'll catch everybody on Thursday. We'll see you over in build time 13. Good night, everyone.